Yesterday I spoke about how it was Job's final defense of his integrity, of his righteousness before God and before his friends and who represent the community at large, if you will. And today, our chapter is Job chapter 31, where he really finishes his defense and he emphasizes his integrity, his holiness, his purity before God. And our verse of the day is verse 6, where he says, "Let me be weighed in a just balance, and let God know my integrity." And part of what he writes about, speaks about extensively, is he talks about the area of sexual purity is part of what he's saying, that he never looked at someone inappropriately. He didn't look at someone to lust after them or to covet them. He never moved beyond that to committing adultery or being unfaithful to his wife. And part of what he's talking about is, does not calamity befall the unrighteous and disaster the workers of iniquity? He also goes on to talk about how he treated his slaves, how he treated the poor, how he did not set his heart on gold or on wealth. And part of what he says, though, about how I made a covenant with my eyes. And I think of that especially in our culture. I mean, Job lived in a time when there weren't smartphones and TV screens and computers, where it is very easy for people to, in a matter of a click or two, look at the most grievous pornography that you can imagine. And one of the things that we see throughout the Bible, and we see it mentioned in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus is talking, and he says, beginning at verse 27, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery,' but I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman to lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart." And Jesus goes on to say how, the real issue is not our eyes, it's a sinful heart. And we don't want to look at other people simply for the purpose of using them. And Paul also in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verses 1 through 7, he talks about how that each one of you know how to control your own body in holiness and honor, not with lustful passion like the Gentiles who do not know God, that no one wrong or exploit a brother or sister in this matter. It really is a horrible, horrible thing that human trafficking and the exploitation of children sexually is such a terrible issue in the world today. And as Christians, we want to work against human trafficking to try to end it. We have a number of our missionaries who work in this area in places like Thailand and around the world, but human trafficking happens right here in Massachusetts and in every state in the country. And so when we talk about this issue of sexual purity, it has to do with what we look at, our attitude towards other people, what we may see on our phones or our computers, our tablets, our television, and it also goes to the larger issue of protecting those who are most vulnerable. Job, in his defense, says he has been a man of purity and holiness throughout his life, and that's something for us all to strive for.